Yes, everyone, welcome to preview. This is Manchester United versus Leicester. Hope everyone's having a decent Friday. Got a bit of a wait before we get to United's game this week, but it is going to be a cracker. I think Leicester are going to provide a real good test for us. That's why I want to see United go with a real strong 11, if possible, because I think that we're really going to struggle with these this time around. I don't know what just happened with the starting video, by the way. That's never happened to us before. Righty then, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today then. So, yes, I've called this the best team in the world. In the country. That was getting a bit carried away, wasn't it? And I do think United are the best team in the country at the moment. And the reason for that is our rank under Solskjaer so far this year is first in points, 19 points under the reign that Ole's been here. First in goals, 19. First in shots, 121 shots in those games. And first in the fewest goals conceded, which is 6. United, currently, are the best team in the country since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has turned up. Now, I think that is significant. And you can go, well, you've not really played anyone. Well, you've played Arsenal and you've played Spurs. I mean, you've not played City and Liverpool. That's it, really, isn't it? And I think we could have a good go at them. This is the style of play that works well against both of those sides. I think what you're going to probably see us struggle against is teams that don't do that. Teams a little bit like what we're probably going to see against Leicester. Been a bit of a bogey team for us in the past. And I also think you're going to probably see that a little bit of that with Fulham next week as well. I think these are going to be massive, massive games for United and big tests. Now, Leicester, not digging it with Puel at the moment. Now, I've been doing a lot of stuff with the Sportsman Bet, and we've been talking about the sack race in that. If you've been watching, nice one. If not, you can go and check that out over on the Sportsman Bet channel, where I do a betting preview every single week. We talk a bit more widely about what's going on in the Premier League. Now, Puel has been the favourite to get sacked for weeks, top of the sack race list, and I don't understand why. Because I look at this from an outsider and I say, Leicester, 7th is about as good as you can get. Now, I know they're not 7th at the moment, and I know there's Wolves and there's Watford also in the mix with them there. But I think 7th is about as good as Leicester can expect to be. Yeah, please like the video. So I didn't understand the attitude that Leicester fans had with Claude Puel at the time. I really didn't understand it. Now they're slipping a little bit. Maybe you can understand it just a little bit. But top of the sack race all that time. Sarri's obviously coming into the mix with it now. Their recent form, they've only beaten Everton, and Everton are terrible at the moment. Absolutely terrible. They've lost to Newport in the FA Cup. They've lost to Saints. They've lost to Cardiff. They obviously had a very good performance against Liverpool in the week, and thank you for that. But they're in horrific form at the moment. Only one win in the last 6. Almost the complete opposite of what we're looking at. I think United have got to go in there very confident, and I think we've got to be able to go and have the confidence in our own ability to attack them and to beat them. But like I said, Leicester have been a bit of a bogey team for United of late, causing us loads of upset. Now, obviously, the big news this week around United is Tony Marshall signing his extension for us. I think he's going to be a massive key player for us this week. And in this game in particular, I thought him and some of the others that I'm going to talk about in a second were huge misses for us during the game against Burnley. Someone that was going to pick the ball up and run. Too much crossing from United. We haven't seen a lot of crossing in any of the games under Solskjaer. It's actually, some of the times you've seen the fullbacks with 0 crosses or 1 cross in the entire game, because we've been looking to push it into the channel, get behind teams, counter-attack. We've not really been having a team that's parked the bus against us and just invited us to come and play against them. Now, I don't think Leicester will play like that, and that might benefit us. But that was what Burnley did, and that's what I think you're probably going to see a couple more teams do as well. United have been better when we've been hitting fast, quick, transitional balls into the channel and in behind the defence. That's when we've been absolutely deadly, and we've got the players to do that. And I thought we just fell into a bit of almost a Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho style rut, or even David Moyes rut. We've seen that game against Fulham, really, several years ago, where you get into this rut of crossing it and crossing it and crossing it. And Ashley Young was a culprit that night as well, just aimless crossing it to no fucker in the middle against a team that's set up to defend, crosses that are coming in very well. Not very game intelligent there, I didn't think. He, as a professional footballer, needs to be thinking, I put 15 crosses in here and none of them have fucking found anyone. What am I doing? As a professional footballer, he should be analysing his game on the fly and saying, what's going to be working better here? Should I play a little ball around the corner? Do I need to pull it back to the edge of the box on the floor? He's got to be doing better in those situations. One player that I think we really missed was Tony Marshall. And the reason I thought we missed him, because he doesn't cross. And I've cussed him out for this, being selfish at times, and under the Jose Mourinho one of where you needed to get the ball into the box for Lukaku to be a benefit, that was a problem. It's not necessarily the problem no more. We need players that are going to bring things on, make things happen, and actually Martial's been less selfish under Ole. He's coming into the box, but he's also laying people off, and he's also getting the ball back as well. The goal that he scored against Cardiff is so far the goal of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign for me. It was absolutely fantastic. And I'd like to see him back in the team, and I'd like to see him being probably partnered with Marcus. But I would like to see him back in the team and push on and do more with that. I thought we really missed him. Another one that we missed was Jesse Lingard, big time. Jesse was or has been this season such a driving force for United, such a heartbeat of the team, and I think missing him and Ander Herrera was really bad for United. I thought the fact that we didn't have either of those in the team from the start of the game meant that we just lacked that little bit of energy, that little bit of fight, that little bit of desire, and too much we slipped into, and maybe even leadership, too much we slipped into knock it round the defence, let's go wide, and let's try and put crosses in, because the super compact nature of what Burnley was offering forced us into doing that, and we played the game Burnley wanted us to do. They hit us on the break, they took their chances, and they deservedly got a point at Old Trafford. Now, that was for me what was the problem was at Burnley. A little bit of a lack of Lingard, a little bit of a lack of game intelligence, and arguably a poor starting 11 from Ole and Mike Phelan. If they'd have rotated 2 instead of 4, maybe it'd have been a different story. I agree with the rotation, and I agree with the logic of why they rotated, but I think in practice, it didn't really work out for us. I think that was what the issue was there. So I'm hoping that they are learning from this, and I'm hoping that with the focus really being on getting into that top 4 for us, that we're going to pick a strong starting 11. If you have a look, this is the 11 that I am going for. Big Dave in net. I would like to see Delo brought in, because he's just simply a better deliverer of the ball than Ashley Young is. Massive agenda, but whatever. Luke Shaw at left back. Now, Luke Shaw hasn't had a decent game. Yeah, Luke Shaw has not had a decent game for a while, to be honest with you. He definitely needs to start stepping his game up. He's been ordinary. Not bad, just ordinary. I'd like to see Luke really start being a bit more of a threat in the opposition and a bit more aggressive defensively. Centre-half partnership, Bay and Lindelof, it is our best partnership. They proved that at Arsenal. They coped well with a really tough opposition. They make fewer mistakes between them than when Phil Jones or Chris Smalling are in there. They have to play together more regularly and form a real good partnership. It's not going to happen overnight, but give them the chance to form a good partnership, because for me, they're our 2 best. Just in front of them, the rejuvenated Matic, Herrera and Pogba. That is our best midfield 3. And you'll notice, even though I said I want to see Tony Martial back in the team, I don't think Ollie's going to pick him, which is why I've not picked him. This is what I think you might be seeing, rather than as much as what I want to see. Although, Delo Young, no denying that one. So I think Pogba's going to make it. I think that Tony Martial probably needs another week, or he can be used for Fulham next week or off the bench this week. I think Lukaku's still being managed, coming back into it, and I think Alexis Sanchez has probably done enough to deserve a start. So Alexis gets the nod on the left-hand side, Jesse gets the nod on the right-hand side, with Marcus Rashford down the middle where he's been so effective lately. Now, the reason for going with Sanchez and Lingard is the graft, because this Leicester side is going to be a grafting Leicester side. They've got a phenomenal midfield, from Ndidi to the fact that they've got Yuri Tielemans on loan. I'm very excited to see what he can do in the Premier League. It's a player I've liked for a while, but you don't quite know when they're coming from the Belgian league. Are they top draw? Now, he's not really been playing in Monaco. I thought it was a great signing when Monaco got him. Haven't really watched a lot of him at Monaco, I must admit. So I'm very excited to see what he can do in the Premier League. But with him, with Ndidi, with Maddison, they've got a great midfield. So I want to see United work and try and get in behind the defence and midfield of this Leicester team. They like to go forward and go wide with the fullbacks. So let's get in behind them. Let's put pressure on those fullbacks, because they're going to be up and down all day long. And the people to do that is Sanchez and Jesse Lingard. And for me, that is how you do it. Excuse me, nearly dying there. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you agree with this starting 11? Would you make any changes? Get all your comments and all that sort of stuff in, and we're going to have a look at the press conference quotes from today. So then, Here we go. First one I've got is talking about David De Gea. So is De Gea's new deal. The club's working on a few players. I don't know how far, but it's a statement from the club. We want to keep our best players, so I hope so. He's absolutely bang on. Of course you want to keep David De Gea, and that is for me the biggest signing that we could make, because replacing him is going to be an absolute nightmare. Forget about even when Peter Schmeichel was here. This will be an even harder job for us because we wouldn't be European champions at the time. I wouldn't have thought. Next one that we've got then is it's a confirmation. This is talking about the Marshall one. It's confirmation we are happy with him. We believe in him. He's got fantastic potential. He's had ups and downs. He's been top scorer. He's been developing. He knows he's going to stay here for the coming future, and I believe in him. Now, you'd think with him getting a new contract, he might start this weekend. I just got my doubts on his fitness, so I'm going to put him on the bench, but I wouldn't be shocked or disappointed to see him in the starting 11. And then we go, I'd like him to make a few more runs in behind because he doesn't miss chances. He's a fantastic finisher. He needs to get more chances. You've got to read and sniff whenever there's a threat, maybe some scruffy goals at times. I'm very interested to see what effect Solskjaer can have on Tony Marshall, because he's right. He often does either receive the ball right on the left-hand touchline, or he comes in looking for it in the half space just in between defence and midfield. Not so often do you see him getting the ball in behind where you see like Marcus getting it, or sometimes even where you see Lukaku get it. But that's what Ole had to say in his presser this morning. I'm going to head over to the Patreon group, and if you'd like more information about the Patreon group, the link is in the description below, and see what questions we've got. If you want to start getting your questions in on the live chat as well, I'll come to those in just a second. Neil says, Phil Jones, pass to Pereira, get rid of Jones. Ashley Young should be a sub-winger as he can't defend. He's always out of position. Baye, Lindelof, best partnership. Matter is too slow. Pretty much agree with all that, mate. Happy days. Let's see what the Patreon Massive are saying. So we've got Brian McD said, I'm glad he signed, but if I was Marshall or Dave, I'd be waiting to see who is in charge next season before signing the contract. Do you think the board maybe already know who will be in next year? I hope there's a shortlist, and I hope they've shown these players the shortlist and gone, look, we're looking at either Ole, that guy, or that guy, and it'll be one of them. And if they've gone, all right, happy days, then all right, happy days. Jack says, with United being so reliant on Lingard and Herrera in this system, are they essentially irreplaceable in this team, or can other players do a job like they do? I think Sanchez could do a lot of what Lingard does. As for Herrera, I don't know who could do Herrera's job. Weirdly, I actually think played in midfield, Fosu Mensah could do a lot of that ratting, but I don't know if he's got the game intelligence that Herrera's got. He could definitely cut around the place, certainly, the way Herrera does. In fact, quicker, because he's one of the fastest players at the club. Whether he's got the game intelligence, that nous, that shithousery, that dark arts that Herrera's got, not too sure, to be honest with you. Loki says, does Pogba need a rest? He's looking a little lethargic at times during games. Probably. But, you know, we've got a short amount of time to absolutely rack up as many points as possible. So let's rack up as many points as possible. Connor, how long before Fred gets a chance with our hectic upcoming schedule? Now, what I didn't like about what we did against Burnley, in hindsight, because I liked it when I saw it, I saw Pereira in the team and I was like, sweet, give him his opportunity, let's hope that the lad can go and prove what he did. It didn't really work out. But I think that a better strategy might be that we bring in players on with half an hour to go. Hopefully not chasing games, hopefully not needing to scramble a game back, but I hope that there's a plan to go, right, Fred needs minutes, Pereira needs minutes. All of these players have got a part to play during this crazy schedule that we're about to hit. So let's give them those minutes. Let's give them 30 minutes here, 40 minutes there. If we can go 2-0 up in a game, sweet. Get Pogba off, get Herrera off, and let's put this lad in and give him that game where he doesn't need the pressure on him to make it all happen instantly. Ruben J says, providing the rest of the season goes reasonably well, do you think they need to appoint Ole just to prevent pressure if they go with another manager and it starts off poorly? Also, when do you think they need to make a call on managers so not to mess up potential summer business? Well, potential summer business is always done clandestinely anyway. It's always done behind the scenes. So if United, let's assume that United go, okay, we're having Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They go to Ole and they say, Ole, give us your list. Who do you think this team needs? Or, you know, they sit down with Phelan and with Carrick and with Ole and they say, what do you reckon we need? And they go, we need X, Y, Z. Probably a centre-half, right-back, maybe a right midfielder, maybe another midfielder. That's what we would like. 4 signings, go and get us those. Maybe 2 first choice, 2 more rotated. Okay, cool. To do that, you're going to have to sell a couple. Who do you want to sell? And he goes, let's sell that, that and that. And if we get an offer for him that's over X, yeah, let him go as well. Maybe that's somebody like Sanchez, someone on a big fat wage. Then when they go and negotiate with agents, they get permission from the club, they sit there and they go, yeah, Ole's getting the job. Don't tell anyone, obviously, but that's who's going to be in charge next season. And then they have a word with Ole and he's like, yeah, I'm getting the job, this is my plan for next season. So you're right that there is potential issue. If they don't appoint him, then summer business potentially can't start until they've got the agreement in place that it's going to be this guy. And if they've got let's assume it's Pochettino, or let's assume it's Zidane. It's a slightly different scenario because one's in work and one's out of work. If it's Zidane, he can maybe start work now and he can start identifying targets, but he's only identifying targets superficially. He needs to come in and see what everyone's like in training. He might be able to play little 11-a-side games in training, which give him a feel for what's going on. Then you've got someone who's in work. He's got no chance of doing any of that, and he can't start doing anything until the day that he walks through the door. That's more difficult, and you're right, it could have an impact on summer business. But that's just the way it is. There's no tournament football this year. There's African Cup of Nations, but it's not going to affect as many players as a World Cup or a Euros was. So hopefully we're all right. Matthew says, with our evident issues at defending set pieces, is there any way we're able to curb the danger Leicester pose with Harry Maguire? An example, having Matic man mark at corners. You also think it would be short-sighted of Ole to play Pogba if he's still carrying a slight knock? Yes, it is short-sighted, but sometimes you have to go, fuck it. And we just need points right now to be able to put pressure on those teams in and around us. It's hard to know what the right thing to do is, because with hindsight, if he gets injured, you go, we should have rested him. But what if you rest him and we lose those games and actually he was all right to play in them? That's where a manager gets the big bucks to make those kind of calls, I think. And as for the other one, in terms of set pieces and Harry Maguire, he's always going to be a threat from him, and we're fucking shit at them. So I hope that someone's working on those somewhere. I don't know if we're working on them somewhere. I would assume so. And suggesting we go full Jose, but should we concede a little bit of the possession against Leicester to make space for a counter-attack that actually works? Also, Lukaku in the starting lineup makes me nervous. Am I being unfair? Yeah, I don't think Lukaku's the big obvious miss in this team at the moment. I thought he was fantastic against Arsenal, and I think that 4-4-2 diamond is a formation. I ummed and ahed about what to go with, and I really wanted to play the 4-4-2 diamond, but when you start looking at the personnel that need to come back in, you go, probably not going to do that. I like the two up front, especially in the bigger games. It gives those defenders something to worry about, and you can start a press from there. Lukaku getting the ball with space in front of him is always a threat. That was the Lukaku that played at Everton that United signed. Lukaku is not Drogba. Lukaku is not old school Mark Hughes that holds an entire defence off with his wingspan and plays other people in. That's not Lukaku. Lukaku is a guy that you get the ball on the floor to and you stick it in behind the defence and he fucking rampages his way onto it. That's Lukaku. If you're not doing that, you're misusing him. So I like the fact that we appear to be trying to play to his strengths a little bit rather than to turn him into some fucking regen of Didier Drogba, which he was never going to be. Ryan, how many games do you think Ole can win realistically through February and a tough run-up? The temptation is to say all of them. I actually think we've got a very good chance against the bigger teams. What worries me is how we rotate for the games in between, for those littler games, those games where people go, oh, that'll be fine, and are just focusing on Liverpool or Paris Saint-Germain. It's the ones where we potentially take our eye off the ball in the middle of those that I do worry about more than those bigger games, because those bigger games are going to be fucking great. Most of them are at home, and we're going to fucking have it in them, so I can't wait for them. Arshin, what do you think it will take Ole to convince the United hierarchy he's the man for the job? Start with that we've had added. What? With the start we've had added to the increasing team morale and the kind of fixtures coming up, will top four be good enough? I think top four and get through Paris, and he's probably got it, I would say. I think getting through Paris is a big test and a big ask with the team that we've got. Paris are a better team than us. I think we can get through them, but I think it's a big ask. And who knows what during the quarters, what happens after that? You get a good draw, you could end up in the semis, and then it's a great season, isn't it, really? But I think top four from where he started, we've absolutely chopped the legs out from Arsenal and Chelsea ahead of us. And I am certain we're finishing top four, certain. We might even finish third. What if we finish third? I mean, a comparison I don't like is the Roberto Di Matteo one. Won the FA Cup, won the Champions League after taking over in March. He won, written this down the other day, and I think it was something like 13 games won, 6 games lost, 5 games drawn, something like that. It's a pretty ordinary record. It's like 50% win ratio, something along those lines. It wasn't amazing. It's certainly not even comparable to what Ole's done here. The fact that it's an ex-player that came in midway through a season and lifted the mood. But this happens constantly at Chelsea, so you can't really compare what's going on with Chelsea, because they win a league, sack the manager, win a league, sack the manager, win a league, sack the manager. That's happened for the last 10 years, that they win the league, sack the manager, win the league, sack the manager. That's not the trend that United are currently going through, so I think it's incomparable. He's come in and he's a better fit for this team because he's an attacking-minded guy, and we are a heavy attack-minded team and shit at the back. And I think it just works for us at the moment. On a scale of 99.9 to 100, how likely is it Ole gets the job? He's just mint. Do you think it was Ole's decision to let Fellaini go and the board have kind of backed him already? Yeah, I do, actually. I actually do think it was Ole's decision, because what changed in the 5 months since the guy was given a new contract? The manager. That is the only thing that changed. If there was a long-term plan or a director of football in place that gave that fucking clown a contract back in the summer after he pimped his ass around all Europe and then came for us for a massive pay rise, that makes absolutely zero sense to then get rid of the fucker, even though you've managed to turn a profit for him, essentially, because he was going for free 6 months ago. So getting any money for him now is a bonus, I guess. But the fact that you've just switched it like that, he's barely been seen under Ole. So I absolutely do think it was Solskjaer. Yeah. And as a scale, how likely is it he gets the job? I don't know. I think with every win it becomes more likely. The fans are right behind him, and how could you appoint Pochettino over him now? How could you? With the shit that he comes out with. Scandalous. Dutch Book, is it not a perfect match to start Delo and Chongo Gomez on the bench? Well, I've put Delo in my starting 11. Do you guys agree? Let us know in the old comments. Get rid of Sanchez and bring through Greenwood. That's a hell of a shout. Hell of a shout. Imagine he did and it works. Mike Phelan is the brains behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's bright start. Maybe. There's also a guy that he's brought from Mulder as well. I can't remember the name of that he brought a couple of weeks after he came. Where would Spurs be? What do you mean? There's a comment that I've clearly missed up ahead. Captain AD says Lukaku is a donkey. Get rid of ASAP. You don't score 27 goals in the league if you're a donkey. Come on, man. Especially in a team like us that's been shit going forward. Sign Ole and he will win us titles for years to come. Now that's the difference. He's actually won titles as a manager. So I don't think that's crazy. I really don't. Ruben Neves for United. I like it. I like it, mate. I do like it. John says Leicester are the 7th best team in the Prem, no question. Michael Chilwell, Maguire, and Ndidi Gray, Madison, Vardy, Ricardo Pereira, they're so underrated. They need a better manager. But if they're 7th, where are you going to get ahead of that? And here's a question for you. Is Leicester's defence better than ours? I think you can make an argument it is. Matt Dempsey, that was the one. Do you think it's a good thing we kept Greenwood in the academy for another year? He's a first year. He's technically only 6 months into his first year. He probably shouldn't have been playing last year. He's a first year. He's still got another 18 months technically at under 18 level. I think he makes his debut this season. Whether or not that leads to anything more, I don't know. I hope so. I honestly think if Greenwood gets 150 minutes, he scores at least one goal. At least one goal. Now, when he's playing against bigger opposition, he is getting bumped off the ball a little bit. He is getting out-muscled, which not really happening at academy level. I don't know. I think he scores. He goes past them. I think you play him wide. Yeah. There's a question here. I just got to answer this one. Damian Wilson, Jadon Sancho for 90 million in the summer are apparently true or false. I would say fucking absolutely false. They definitely don't need. I mean, he's played on the right for Dortmund, but the guy's played left wing for his entire career. We definitely don't need another left winger. Why would we pay 90 million for a guy when we've potentially got that same level of player, if not better, in Mason Greenwood? Potentially. The stats for Greenwood at this level, compared to what Jadon Sancho was producing, they're night and day different, and Greenwood stands head and shoulders and waist above him. That's not to say that he'll have the same impact when he reaches the first team, and I don't think he's going to have the chance to go to Dortmund to prove that. I do know of a team that came in for him very late in the window from Germany, and that was rejected to go on loan. I think Mason absolutely eclipses Jadon Sancho if he gets given the opportunity. If he's not given the opportunity at 17, and obviously I think Ole's the right man to do that for him, then his career can go very different. This age group now, from 17 to 2021, players just absolutely fall off a cliff if they're not constantly challenged all the time and given opportunities in the first team. So it's a real precarious one. Casey Gill says, what about De Ligt? I'd like De Ligt. I think we need an experienced centre-half, but I would take De Ligt. I absolutely would, because he is an experienced leader of a centre-half, even though he's only young. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, but thank you guys for joining us. We're back at United Review on Sunday after the game, so let's hope for another 3 points, another good performance, and I'll see you in the aftermath. Laters.